Chick, you want to read? You don't have to stand.
I'm not going to.
Would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Retzel, would you please lead us in prayer?
Lord, as we take a moment to ask for your blessing on this meeting today, we ask also, Lord, you help us to be mindful every day to find the blessings you've already bestowed upon us. And Lord, sometimes our lives are like these meetings. We have an agenda to fill, and sometimes, Lord, we forget that we can amend it to take time to be kind to someone else or be an encouragement or a blessing. So, Lord, we ask that you help us to be mindful of all that, but just bless this meeting today, give wisdom and patience and understanding where it's needed, and we ask this in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
Thank you. You may be seated. Well, I am a gavel person. So anyway, we're going to proceed with the meeting. We're going to call to order. And do we have any announcements or correspondence?
I have none.
Okay. We have guests with us this morning. And Diane Rock is with the Portage Central Visitors Bureau. It's a county organization that's been in existence for 30 years and at the county level. And I have asked her, I represent the township on that board. We meet once a month, and it's very exciting, the things that the committee itself or the board itself is planning for this area. And Diane is she just has wonderful baggage that she brings. And I asked her if she would, yeah, only 20 bags. She has lots of baggage that she carries with her, very knowledgeable. She understands township government. She was formerly a fiscal officer's assistant. Was that right? Correct me on that.
Ran a fiscal office, did not want the job.
Well, hey, all right.
Who wants
She
the
ran
job
a fiscal
anyway?
officer.
Who
but,
wants the job
is
anyway?
that?
It was one of those, can you come in and fix the problem?
Oh, okay. Well, she's the problem fixer
Thank you.
on Portage County for the Central Portage County Visitors Bureau. And what happens is when people stay at our hotels, and that's why we want heads in beds, because there is a tax that is for each one of your rooms. It's like 6%, I believe. And that 6% comes to Brimfield Township. We in turn give the Visitors Bureau 25%, whatever that money is. And then the 75% that the township keeps is to be used for roads. It's to be used for getting people in here to our hotels and to see what Portage County has to offer. And it's exciting to see the things that are happening. So Diane, I'm just gonna she's our executive director over there. And I just want you to go ahead and let us know. I can give you 10 minutes. We have a full agenda.
Okay, we'll go real quick. So, and my name's Diane, and about 4 or 5 years ago, they, Central Portage Visitors Bureau, approached me and asked me if I would be interested in helping them market the area. So anyway, a little bit about my background. I've been in tourism for over 30 years. My job, basically, when people ask me what I do, I say I tell people where to go, which is truly what I do. So one of the things is that every community or county or whatever, if they have hotels, they have the option of getting bed tax. That bed tax is when you stay at a hotel overnight or whatever they charge you, the rate of the bed tax. A percentage of that bed tax goes to the community if they want, or in some instances it goes to the county, and then the county separates it off into the different communities, but a percentage of that needs to go to fire, roads, infrastructure, because the tourists are causing damage or they may need needed, so the communities basically don't have to pay that. A percentage of that also goes to promoting the tourists. So the CDD board for Central Portage Visitor Bureau gets 25% of all the bed tax. So when you're thinking of every dollar, we get 25% of that is collected, okay? Now, Portage County is unique, unlike a lot of some of the other 88 counties that are out there. There are 3 visitor bureaus. Instead of 1, like Akron Summit County Convention and Visitors Bureau, or Carroll County, CVB and stuff. We have Central Portage County, BCB, which covers Brimfield, Kent, Central Portage. And you have Aurora Tourism, and you have Streetsboro, BCB. And this all came about, originally it was 1, then they split off, and it's called He Who Has the Money Calls the Shots. It is when Aurora had SeaWorld and Geauga Lake, that created this humongous amount of tourism. Suddenly, the communities wanted to break off, realizing they could get more money if they kept it in-house. So that's why Portage County is unique. 3 CVBs, basically tourism programs. I always say it's because we have 2 state parks, we're special. Okay, in fact, we're one of the few. So anyway, I just want to give a little tidbit. The paperwork that you have there, okay, just real quick, it's just a few of the things that we've done last year to promote our area. The visitor guide that you have in front of you real quick, this is our guide that we put out last year. It's a lot of fun. If you open it up, you pull the map out, but we even actually have a little Bigfoot in there. Did you know Portage County has the 3rd most sightings for Bigfoot in the state of Ohio? So we have a fun trail called Birdie, Burger, Brew, and maybe Bigfoot. So which includes your burgers at Ray, your brewery, this is my voice. But some other things that we do is that we promote the idea, the whole point of the CVB is to create heads and beds. The more heads and beds we create, that creates then additional bed tax, which then assists the communities and gives back. This tourism, and I will leave this if anyone wants to leave. This was last year's Ohio tourism numbers. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but tourism creates jobs, tourism creates money for everybody. But I will also leave these here too. We also work co-op, we're part of Ohio Travel Association. We are also part of Adventures in Northeast Ohio. And so sometimes any of you that get our basic magazines and things, like long weekends, these are some of the things that we use your bed tax money for.
Diane, you want to come on over this way a little bit?
Oh, sure.
So that we can all
Okay.
see,
I don't want to put my butt name on it.
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, we put bed tax, and so sometimes too, what we do is we co-op. This is an ad on this side that we co-op with Streetsboro, so we could do north, we could do south, but then we also did a whole article about Portage County. So we got a full page ad in long weekends. Now this was an editorial we worked out that they were free, this was it. So this is one of the magazines that we're in. Here's Ohio Magazine. We do some advertising here, kind of to coordinate with our current map and things. So we do a lot of talking. I do a lot of Rotary talks all over Ohio, promoting things to do in the area, ideas. We do bus trips. In March, I go and meet with the Heartland Travel Showcase, which is a showcase that we meet up with other we meet up with tour operators and try to talk them into coming to the area to bring their groups, because we love groups. Why? That's events. They come, they visit, off they go, but we make money off of that. If anyone wants to, these are the top of the press, a couple of the new travel guides for Ohio that just came out. So if you guys want to look at those, we have an ad in there. And just a couple quick tidbits real quick. And, oh yes, we also worked out with, since this was our fun one for winter, because Portage County does outdoor really well. We do really well. Don't you everyone hate these things at all? Anyway, finally, I'll just say that we have a real big project on this year, and we're taking it on. It's going to be a co-op between Medina County, Summit County, Ashland Summit County, Mahoney County, and Portage. It's never been done in Ohio. It's take a trip on 76. And what it is that every point within this map is 10 miles off of 76. Then we'll also add the hop, skip, and jumps, like jump would be Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But we're gonna highlight Interstate 76 as a destination in itself. And so we're co-opted and coordinated this. We're just working on our final numbers. And this is something that we're working with 3 other CDDs to put through. So that's one of them. And then the other thing, our new marketing program is all about shoes. And you'll kind of get the gist of it, but we're going to be doing pictures of shoes. Let's say, it's just an idea. It's the Ranger, John Smith, down here at 3 State Parks. We have his shoes with him in them, and we just use his shoes, and we say, these are John Smith's shoes. These shoes have been through 3 state parks. They hike, they do birding, they whatever. So we're describing, so take a walk with us through Portage County. So we have the shoes at the museum. We have the shoes that the German Family Society danced with. We have different shoes that, and then we talk about the person, but we highlight the shoes. When we presented this to the state of Ohio, because we're doing another story time, and we did the video. If you've ever been to our website, check out our video from 2 years ago. They came back and said to us, because this is a co-op program where they pay part of the funding for this, they came back and said, it's like fresh and like, this is really good, we can go with it. So hopefully everything ties in and everyone's shoes work well, but any questions? Is that good, 10 minutes?
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
I
We
believe
appreciate
these too,
it.
if anyone wants to look at ads or any of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the information.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
And our next guest is Irene Shearer. She is a Girl Scout. And Cassie, I'll let you take care of that.
Sure. Yes, this is Irene. She's a Girl Scout here. I've known her and her mom Jennifer for quite a few years now. And she is working on her Girl Scout Gold Award, and I've been assisting her with planning that out. And she would like to present her ideas for us, and I'm very excited for it. So.
Okay, so I plan on making like 10 to 15 installments about exploring sounds and music through nature. So they're gonna be at the playground, like around it. And I have like planned out where they would go, if you wanna see. I don't know if you wanna pass this one.
Yeah, pass that around.
So there'd be 10 to 15 depending on how much funds I can get and how much time I have to make them. But I have planned out 7, I think, here. No. Yeah, 7, if you want to see them. If I could explain any of them, I can. Start with them. Some of them are like PVC tubes that you would like hit and they would make different sounds. Some of them are shakers that have different things and they would be like a quiz, like what do you think's in this shaker? One of them is just like things on the ground that you would walk on and see how they make different sounds. Yeah.
How, let me see how I'm gonna put this. What's the cost? Have you factored in a cost of this?
I have, it's decently expensive, but I have a lot of donations already, and I also plan on getting like a lot of the material donated from stores and such. I've had that before. I'm not counting on that because I obviously could say no, but it's gonna be my first step is,
Do you have a ballpark guess of what
I
the,
don't yet, I'm sorry.
okay. Well, we'll leave that open. So, anybody have any questions? How long have you been in the planning stage for this?
About 6 months.
Okay, how long, is this just gonna be over the summer event?
No, I work over the summer. I go to Girl Scout camp. I'm a counselor, so I won't be able to work in the summer. But I have until May of 2024
Okay.
to finish.
Now, where will these events take place at? I mean, where's it?
I'll be like building a lot of it at my house, but the actual like installing, it'll be at the playground.
Yeah,
The
the
Carter
playground,
Pavilion.
Okay, but okay, Carter Pavilion, okay.
Do you have a group of people that are gonna help with the installation? Are you doing it yourself? What's the install
My
look like?
family is like contractors and stuff, so
Okay.
they'll help me, but also I'll like outsource people.
Okay. And then you're also currently doing fundraising as part of the
Yeah.
project?
Okay, well, would you, when you get a ballpark figure of the cost, would you please let Cassie know so she can share that with us? Okay,
Cassie, what's your thoughts on this around the playground equipment installation places, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, you're not Aaron. Irene and I went and walked around and we just thought that was a great location for it. It makes sense there because it's right near the pavilion and the playground, and I think it's a great location because that's where we get the younger kids too. And I think it's a really great idea to be able to engage children with like sensory things too. Just another way to get them in touch with nature, and I think it'd be a great place for it.
What do we anticipate the long-term maintenance of the equipment to be? Is it pretty self-sufficient? Is it something that we're gonna have to maintain annually?
I intend to make it as low maintenance as possible. There will be some maintenance, so probably like annually, yeah.
just to double check it, okay. Okay, well, do we need any kind, this is just an informational thing right now? Okay,
Does she need approval yet to go forward with the project? What are we looking for from the board today?
I mean, not necessarily, but I would appreciate it.
So we just need to approve them using the land over there.
yeah,
Right.
okay. Do you want to make?
How many are there again? There's 7?
There's 7 planned out. I intend to make about 10.
Okay,
So I would make the motion to preliminarily approve the Girl Scout project for around the playground. But ask that once you have the final design plans, that you bring that back with final locations for the board to approve the final placement of those, just to make sure we're all on the same page. But, that's just kind of a technicality as part of it. But so a preliminary approval to move forward with the project with a secondary meeting where you come back when you have the final drawings of placement so that we can approve the placement with
okay.
recommendations.
I'll
from-
second that, John.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
I'll work with Dave and Irene just to make sure it's not any maintenance issues or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think we can have those discussions at the final meeting, like before
Yeah.
we start installation. But yeah, I would say start working on it. And then Cassie, we would look for you to make recommendations on the placement in the park there. But just so this way, we have it more formal where it goes.
Yeah, because I'm sure things will get tweaked and
Yeah.
around a little bit. So.
Well, the ideas that you shared, I'm very appreciative of that you're looking at it as a community thing. And I think it'd be a really good asset for all the little toddlers or the 2 to 4 to 8-year-old to come in and take advantage of that. Let's have a vote. All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Sorry.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you very much for coming and presenting your project
Pass
with
this
us.
back down to her. She's-
Yeah. And I'll be checking in with Cassie to see how you're coming along with everything. Okay, then I have Mr. John Denning. We have him on the agenda here. So John, would you want to share with us your concerns?
Yeah, I just want to put a pipe under the Sherman Road. Lower bore, it would be no bigger than that, to take the rainwater that pools my neighbors over the years. The water accumulates there, and I just want it to go to the west side into the ditch and go where it's supposed to. And I have all the plans if you want to see it, but I'm told that by Mr. Roofer, that they don't approve any road bores at all. I have to come through this process.
Okay.
And I have a contractor that just put in my septic system there. And initially, I put the highest septic system in it that you could, that basically pumps fresh water out. He didn't want that. I thought it was because of the septic.
Yeah.
And so I came back and I said, well, now that I got that project done, I want to put this, basically just put a sump pump and have it go underneath Sherman Road
Okay.
and into the ditch. So I just need to get approval to do that.
Okay, well, I have a question. In that the water that is on your property, if you put a tube or a pipe under the road, where does that water go?
Into
And
the ditch, And it goes, then it eventually goes to 18, natural flow.
Is there housing across the street from you?
Nice houses. Anyway,
Yeah, I pulled up the digital map here too.
what's that?
I pulled up a map of the area too to look at.
Okay,
Okay,
so this is where are we at? I got my eyes. No, it's just here, this is east, west, north, Sherman Road. And I'm gonna put the sump back here where all the water accumulates. You just go right under it. I just wanna go with a 3-inch pipe into the ditch right here, Edinburgh ditch line.
well, would that flood out your neighbor? I mean, would that affect his property?
No, there's a 6-foot ditch there. And I'll show you. Whoop, what I did on my phone. Thank you. I've had it, I was gonna be first time. Picture tells 1,000 words. And my neighbor to the north, he ran his north.
Well, I don't think I don't really recall that we've done this for other people.
I don't know about that.
No,
Well,
the
it's
neighbor to
not a
the north of
precedent.
his, he came in with the same thing, wanting a sub pump across the street, and we wouldn't allow private pipes across our roadway. So the neighbor to the north of the property was denied the same access of doing the same thing.
Why?
We don't allow private pipes
Who's
across the
we?
road. The township,
This is
And
the township.
right.
This is the royal.
but
So I'm
by,
asking you, this has been the flack that I've been getting the whole time.
So Dave, let me just ask a few questions. If we were to run the pipe across Sherman Road, then that becomes township's pipe to maintain at that point?
it's
for
still
any-
considered a private pipe.
Okay, so we wouldn't have,
The problem is if something happens to our roadway, then we have to take care of it for the private.
So I put up a bond.
Well, the thing is,
Okay, right down the street.
even the
Right down
county
the street
doesn't.
across from Happy King's Farm. There's a house on the east side, and you have a road cut that they put the water in there. And it's like going over a speed bump. I'm not doing anything like that.
Well, I'm just saying,
I'm just saying.
I've checked this with Portage County.
Mr. Denny, honey, don't get excited.
We've checked with the engineer's office and they don't allow private pipes either.
Dave, so that,
That's-
yeah, so that would be my next question is as a township, we don't have an engineer on staff. We utilize the county as our engineer.
So you guys turn me down, and I gotta go to mid. Okay?
So I would say we would refer to our engineer of record, which is the Portage County engineer,
Right.
to make that determination.
So you don't have the authority here because you're a township. And we own the middle of the road, so if I got an easement for my neighbor to set the other, it's
So
fine.
you don't own to the middle of the road. You own about 10 feet short of the road, of the right of ways.
A 3-inch pipe is not gonna hurt your road.
But the thing is, it's a private pipe. We're not allowing private
All right,
pipes.
well then, I'll pay you to put it.
I'm not putting a pipe across the road to pump groundwater. Because the next thing, if
So
I
you're
open
saying no?
I'm
that up,
gaining information right now. I'm trying to ask some questions to figure the situation. So let's
The
just,
thing
I'll
is-
take a breath for a second.
Right.
So engineer of record, my expectation would be, is we had a letter of support from the Portage County engineer as our engineer of record saying this is what needs to be done, then that would be something I think the board would need to
And
consider.
I knew this was gonna happen, so I've already applied for that, my contract.
Okay.
Report with the county. And I'm sure the county trustees or the county commissioners would have the authority over a township.
So with the roadway, once again, it's the engineer is the person we're gonna go to.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Moroz,
yeah, so if you come back with a letter from him, from Mickey Marazzi, that says, hey, this is something that we allow, because the other question is, what is the purpose of the ditch, Dave? Is it for,
the ditch is
is
to
it
take
for-
road water.
yeah, so it's not for private water,
property.
it's for road water to protect the roadways,
Right.
correct? From what I
Right.
understand.
it's
not-
not ditch on my side of the road.
Your house is in a hole, you're in a valley, so there's no way to put a ditch in your side without, if I put a ditch in your side of the road, then you'd be back here because all the water from Talmadge Road would flow backwards to your property.
Blah, blah, blah.
And this is the same thing I got when I tried to explain on the phone, so,
So he's in charge of the roads
yep.
in Brimfield Township.
He's the road superintendent, we ask him questions, and then if there's a clarification, I would say, Dave, what's the engineer of record say on this?
Right.
Also, I'd look at the facts of the purpose of a ditch in the township is not private property water disbursement. It's to protect the roadway, which allows the water to shed off the road so that the roads don't disintegrate and create a hazard.
Well, Nick, I think we've had discussion before. Well, if that's setting a precedent, so
Right, because then if we do it for one, we have to do it for
now my
everybody.
neighbor, my mom's neighbor that's having that water problem could do the same thing. And then we just open the board up to everybody in Brimfield that wants to dump their water on their property to the other side of the road. That causes lots of issues.
Right.
So, I mean, that's
Anything
an
else?
issue too.
I would say the other person I would look for recommendations from would be the Portage County Division of Soil and Water, because they're going to talk about the flow of water. Can that ditch handle that? Those are the two pieces.
When I've been down this road with the septic.
Okay,
that I put in,
right.
and they said, everything you're saying makes sense. I shouldn't have to sue my neighbors because their runoff is coming in. I'm willing to pay the whole thing myself to be a good neighbor.
Right. What I would need though, this is just my opinion, not the opinion of the board, but for me as a board member, I would ask for a letter of support from Mickey Marazzi, a letter of support from Soil and Water, from their directors that say, hey, this is what we need. And then I would look at that as discussion. But once again,
Well,
it
we
would be a
look
board-
at for the process of Brimfield Township on any of their roads.
Right.
I mean, not just one specific situation. It would have to be across the board on how we would operate with their road.
Yeah, I see your point, but we need support from those that have the authority and the expertise in that area. That's what we look for the county engineer for.
So then I would have to come back to you again.
Dave, is this the board that would make that final decision?
Yeah,
or would
well,
have
that'd
Mickey
be-
make that vote?
I mean, like I said, I've talked to the engineers and they've told me no private pipes across the roadway. They
Okay,
don't allow it. I mean, if they come up with that answer, it would have to come back. You guys would have to probably make the final say on it
okay.
if there's a support letter, but like I said, I've talked
And
to
I'm-
them and they're just,
And I'm not saying that I would support it at that point. I'm saying that's
Right.
what I would need for the consideration. Right now, there's not enough evidence for me to consider anything. If that makes sense. There's just not enough support
Appreciate
there.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the ending of our guests that we have with us today. So let's go ahead and make some motions here to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
We don't have any from the last meeting. The last meeting got canceled. So
But we
Okay.
didn't approve the minutes from the previous meeting because we didn't have the last meeting.
Right.
that's true. We didn't.
So that's going to be meeting minutes
Today,
from,
the 8th.
hang on, 1/18, January 18th.
Let me write that date down.
Do you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I move that we accept the minutes from the January 18th meeting.
All right, I'll second that.
All in favor?
All those in favor, Sue?
Yes,
Yes.
Motion passed.
motion carried, okay. I would like there to be some sort of a notation in the minute book that the meeting of the 28th was canceled due to, we really didn't have a whole lot, anything on the menu that,
Well, we were missing a lot of employees.
And-
it was
and
weather
people-
related. It was all.
you can't have a
multiple
meeting with
things.
just two people, so, anyway, all right. Are there any additions to the agenda?
We'd make a motion to accept the agenda,
Oh,
second
yes,
it, and
accept
then.
the, yeah, I made the motion, you seconded it, all in favor, and it passed.
No, I'm saying for the agenda, you got to make a motion and then get a second, and then you do
Nick, are you,
revisions to it.
Okay.
are you accepting it or
Yeah.
seconding it, Nick?
I'll second it.
So now it's up for discussion. So if you want to add or change the agenda, you
Okay.
can.
Correct.
I have an addition.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So under fire,
Yeah.
All right.
Under fire uniform.
so it'd be 2C.
Yeah, simple as that, uniform discussion.
Okay. And then there's a Ohio DAS program that
That's already,
John wanted
It's
to
already
talk
in there.
about. And then, let's see, do we have anything on the backside?
I have something under administration, 2B as in boy, just Brimfield JED update, because we had our JED board meeting.
to be under admin.
Yes.
Okay. B, okay. So we need a motion then to accept the changes to
Yeah,
the
hold on one
agenda.
sec here. Okay, so we have a motion on the board floor by Sue to accept the amended agenda to include number 2C under fire, uniform allowance, number 2B under admin, Kent Jet update. All those in favor, Sue,
All right,
Nick,
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. And now we're looking at purchase orders. I did review all those and I would move that we accept and acknowledge the purchase orders.
I will second the purchase orders for the past 2 weeks.
All in favor?
All those in favor, Sue?
Yes?
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and the warrants. Nick, you want to make that
I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept the warrants for the past 2 weeks.
Second,
All those in favor, Sue?
yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
How many public comments from our attendees? Okay, hearing none. At this time, any safety concerns for the township?
No.
Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to begin our meeting for our department heads and Chief Mosley,
Yeah, thanks,
would
Sue.
you want to go with your
Sure, I
police
just have,
department?
a couple of informational updates for you guys this morning. You may recall, we still have one of our cruisers that we ordered last year. In fact, in the first part of last year, just due to logistical issues, we didn't take delivery of that until the end of 22. We are set to get that vehicle outfitted by Hall Public Safety here in the next couple of weeks, so that will actually be on the road after a long period of time of getting that piece done. As far as 2023 vehicles, I reached out to Montrose Ford. We do not have an update yet on when cruisers will be available for purchase this year, so they're going to keep us in the loop on that going forward, but I don't have a timeline yet on that. When I know more on that, I'll reach out to John and follow up accordingly. The other item I wanted to give you an update on is the hiring of full-time police officers. I have 2 candidates that are in the academy. They will be completing their academy training here in another week or so, and then they have state testing coming up at the end of this month. Following that, there's going to be some additional background phases to that process, but we do have conditional officers out for 2 candidates to come on board. One of those will be filling a retirement of Steve Yoker. Will be coming up this year, and one would be an additional position. So 2 are in the pipeline. As we go through that process with them, with the backgrounds, hopefully we'll be able to bring them to you at some point and be able to bring them on board. So I just want to let you know that there is an active pipeline for bringing 2 on board right now.
Okay.
That's really the only information I have this morning, just a couple of informational updates, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay.
Chief, for the, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask about the candidates. Are they local?
One lives here in Brimfield Township.
Okay.
One lives here in Portage County up in Manaway.
Okay.
So one
pretty
very local.
Yeah.
One not quite much, but yeah, both from this area.
Okay, good.
Roy, or Chief Roy, are the cars the same? The 23 model of the cruiser, is it a different model now, or?
No, it'll still be the Ford Interceptor. It'll be Ford. It'll be the same thing.
Did I hear something that's changing down the road? Do they have a different, or did I just make that up in my head?
I don't know if you made it up in your head or not.
You haven't heard
Sometimes
anything
there's
like that?
nuances, so subtle things will change, but most often our equipment, our cage, our light bars, everything transfers over. So usually we haven't found ourselves having to replace any equipment. We can pull it out of a car that gets replaced and put it into a new one.
I guess I just thought I heard there was a different police vehicle that was coming out.
I mean, Dodge and Chevy both also provide police vehicles, but we've kind of been in a
Sure.
Ford track for quite some
Okay,
time.
I was just curious. Thanks.
I just wanted to share, Chief Mosley, you have a letter of commendation for Officer Jake Rabb.
Yeah, I just gave that to you as an FYI in my report.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I really appreciate your staff down there and their professionalism that they give the community.
Be sure to
Thank you
pass that
very
along.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, there's your gold. Got that. And hearing no more from your department, I'd like to continue on to the fire department. Craig?
All right, thank you. Informational stuff, and then we need a board approval item, but informational stuff, station build, roof continues slowly. We are waiting on the roof. As you know, there's snow been up there as it comes off. They get back up there and do the shingles, but they can't do anything underneath until they get it waterproofed in. So we're kind of at the mercy of the roofers at this point. Interior electrical was happening, garage doors are on, paint colors were chosen for the inside. The painter has been in to the inside. He has been priming a lot of the bay areas for finalized paint. So things are happening. As I say that, there was a couple days with no workers because of permit issues that were not submitted to the county. So we saw a couple days, not that you guys noticed, but that there weren't any workers, that's still pending. So we're hoping the county gets that approval back. Just to be transparent, they had permits to run the shell and the exterior as they were doing interior. So they didn't have the permits that were needed to do that. So they had to catch up.
Okay.
It's not something that they're going to be fined for, but county is requiring permits. You have to have those. So that's been the past week and a half. That's been ongoing for that. Any questions on the fire department?
Craig, can you speak on the time schedule?
Yeah, so the time schedule verbally came out. John and I had a meeting yesterday with USDA. It was mid-February to late February, has now pushed back to May 17th. Doesn't surprise me. For the board's knowledge, they have to have paperwork and documentation to back that up. I mean, they can say whatever they want, but we have to get that. Mario assured us he was going to get that for us. So,
Is that pushed, is that just the fire department deadline got pushed?
no, that pushes everything.
How far out is the entire project getting pushed?
November 17th, I want to say they said, which pushes about a month. So it pushes us 2 months, pushes that a month. I just for the board, it won't surprise me if it gets pushed again. I mean, but again, they have to provide documentation
Yeah,
because
I'd
they
say
have
we've had
contracts. Yeah.
Pretty
So-
mild winter, so there's no.
Again, we hired an architect and a builder to work this out. So.
Okay. Do they have any anticipated time that they're going to get this documentation to us? Because I mean, we're pushing the deadline.
We had the discussion yesterday with USDA, and USDA is the one that really has the say in that because they're the money.
Right.
So they need it. They all know they need it, but they did commit to a specific date of getting it. They said it was going to be here anytime. So
Can we, John, is that a piece where we hold up finances on the project to them until we get that? Because if they're not going to meet the deadline, what's USDA?
Well, it's the USDA that would have to come back and say that. The meetings that we had yesterday are the approval with the USDA, the contractor and the architect to approve funds to go. So those all got approved yesterday. That's work that's already been done. There is going to be a delay or the USDA is going to have to put something out there because January 24th is when they were supposed to be finished with the entire project. So they're going to have to put incentive or a penalty out there for something, but they're going to look into, hey, it's been COVID, supply chain. They're going to look at all that stuff to determine what would be a legitimate time frame for them. And then after anything after that, that's when penalties would start coming. It would just be penalties. We wouldn't hold the funding up.
Okay.
but Rycon has to provide that
Right.
documentation for approval.
And then it has to get approved by Moody Nolan, who legitimizes what, because last year they had winter days that were way over what they were supposed to be, and they didn't fill out all the correct paperwork, and none of that got approved. So,
Right.
We just made it real clear yesterday that we needed it in writing. So it's on both of those areas to provide us a letter in writing with the new date.
Okay.
Any other questions with that?
I just want to say that on Thursdays at 11 o'clock, that we have a meeting with Rycon in their contractors' little booth. And I have been privileged to be part of that and have been attending those meetings, and I'm learning a lot about how construction works and how it doesn't work. And you have to have your paperwork or nothing goes, and it is government and everything goes slow. So I appreciate that opportunity to be able to do that. So did you want to address the staffing on your report,
Staffing.
on your written report here for the fire department?
I'm not sure what you're asking, which part?
He wasn't done. He just
Oh, you're
paused
not
for
done
the
with
fire.
that. You
Oh,
just,
yeah.
you just paused. Okay.
Yep, I'm just talking about station right now.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on down, I did provide you guys a year-end report for 2022. That was really for the board's knowledge, kind of gives you an idea of where we're at, where we're going this year, and kind of our vehicle timeline, because that's coming up. One of our fire engines is going to need replaced in the next probably 2 years, and that's roughly $750,000 for a fire engine. So they're not cheap. So that's coming, but I'll work with John on the budget on that so we can set money aside to be ready for that as that comes. But you guys can read that. That was for your knowledge.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for this report. It's very thorough. Appreciate that.
4 of the firefighters did respond with the hazmat team to the East Palestine event on Monday. They were there 12 hours, helps mitigate that situation that's going to be ongoing for a long time. If you had a house in East Palestine for sale, you're probably not selling it now.
Is this still burning?
It's,
Yeah.
it's beyond that now. All those chemicals are gonna go down in the ground and it's gonna
Into
be,
the stream and on their way?
it's gonna be a mess for years, put it that way. So, but 4 of our members went to that. So Brimfield pays our members with my approval to be on the Portage County Hazmat team. When Portage County gets needed by other entities, we go. It's just kind of what we do. Mahoning County happened to have two hazmat members in the whole county. So Portage County and Summit County pretty much ran the show for them.
Okay.
So from what the updates I got, it went well for what it could be, but just the way it is. So.
Okay.
Um,
Does that conclude your report?
Nope, I have more.
Oh, keep on going.
We had a firefighter test yesterday for a new hire that will replace Lieutenant Morrison's retirement position. I plan on moving on that pretty quickly. Just like the police were in their boat now, we had 6 candidates, which I've never had 6. If you asked me 2 years ago, I had 70 apply. I had 6. The good thing was all 6 looked like they would fit in, but we'll see how they score on the test. But yeah, we're struggling just like anybody else now, which is unfortunate. I don't understand, but we'll get somebody good out of this, and if not, we'll retest again. So we'll figure it out one way or the other. The only board approval item, so I had discussion, something I wanted to do this year was update our uniforms. I have discussed with the body to go to a Nomex uniform that meets fire compliance. Our uniforms right now are just like anybody would go out and buy, and they include spandex and stuff that can melt in fires. So we would go to a uniform that would actually give us the NFPA compliant protection. With that being said, they're about double the price, but you get about 4 times the longevity. So it's a trade-off. With that being said, I did discuss with the board and John about adding to the clothing allowance that they already get at one time shot for the department to buy 2 uniforms additional for them. And I would need a motion to add to the budget $11,000, not to exceed $11,000. And I think that would be well above what we need, but that would provide for patching and stitching and everything else.
Okay. So moved.
I'll second that for discussion.
Yes.
So it's going to meet the NFPA standards. So
Yeah, I think it's
compliance.
1975 NFP standards. We also did look at the materials that so when you make things more compliant, you add more chemicals to the uniform and make sure they weren't cancer-causing chemicals, and they're not.
Okay.
So they do meet a standard. And Row Falls is using them, Talmadge, Rootstown. So a lot of people are going to these.
Are we going to look at the NFPA 75 standards to make sure for laundering of those that we test them in whatever manner we need to make sure?
Yeah, we did look into that already. I couldn't answer the laundered life of those.
But we're going to incorporate that into the policy so that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Because they will have a certain life based on washing. For the
And overall, they look good too. So they're a good looking uniform.
Okay. And this is just a one-time bump. So we're just going to buy them. We're not even giving them the money.
Yeah,
We're
they
gonna
would
pay
not.
for-
So right now in the policy, they receive a check to go buy uniforms. This would not be. This would be, hey, you go order 2, I get billed.
So then we're just going to get direct bill from.
Yeah. So
whatever
I would
11
have
cents or
control over what they bought on that.
Yeah, and they
Again-
have to go out and buy them. They just don't get a uniform allowance and only buy half of the uniforms. They have to buy them to get reimbursed from.
Are we reimbursing them or they're just going to direct bill us?
Well, Craig's going to direct
They
bill
would
it
direct
and
bill.
pay it.
Okay.
So they have to order them in order to get that paid.
Okay.
So
And what's,
So just so we, uniform right now, for pants and shirt are about $150. They go to $260 for a pants and a shirt, which is outrageous. I know, but
it's going to bring them in compliance with the
it's
standards?
just what it is right now. So if you end up buying 4 uniforms, which is required, it's above their allotted allowance right now.
Okay.
Who's the carrier again that's doing that?
Work right, but purchased through Levinson's
Okay.
uniform in Akron.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
All those in favor, Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Did you have more questions?
No, you're good.
Okay. Thank you for that, and I will, again, move forward with this. We get our clothing allowance in March 1st, so
That'll fall into
I'm gonna
place.
put a deadline on them to be all switched over, I don't know, July 1st, depending on availability. So you may see new uniforms and the old will go away. So just to throw in there, some departments allow you to wear both. It's one way or the other. We'll go to the new.
They'll still maintain their old dress uniform now.
Yes, so pants and shirt will change, outer sweatshirts, it just is what it is still.
Okay.
Boots will remain the same, belts, all that, but it'll be the workable uniform.
Okay.
And that adds a workable uniform for myself also, because I can't work in this.
Right.
When you see me in jeans, I got to work that day. So that's just what happens. So it'll give me something that I can use too.
Okay.
So, and if I don't have anything else, that's all I have. If you don't have anything else,
I'm good.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Let's go ahead to admin, old business. We have none. Under new business, under A, we have State of Ohio DAS program, John.
What that is, it's the, to participate in the state co-op program through the IT admin side. We already do it for other areas, but it's a different area. This was requested by Joe that we be part of that co-op program. So what I have here is the board allowing Brimfield Township under the co-op, under the admin purchasing program to sign up for that. So I need a motion to say yes, that we're going to sign up. Then Joe can get prices from them if he wants to, and if that's the option that he wants to go, he has the choice.
So it's going to give us better purchasing options?
Possibly, yes. Okay. So, and it's not, I mean, all it does is get us as part of it. So if we wanted to buy something, we could, and we'd only buy it if it was the best deal for us. So I just need a motion to approve allowing us to join the co-op program.
Is there, well, I'll make the motion to join the State of Ohio DAS co-op program for IT.
Second.
Is there any administrative fees for that for us? Is there anything associated with that?
There is not, it's just you're purchasing through them is what you're doing.
It doesn't exclusively require us to purchase through them.
No, it's an option.
Okay.
That you can do. So, yeah, there's no fee to it. It's just we're part of the group now. So we can purchase. They're wanting to do it from the group perspective that they're going to get more people to buy. So that's what it is. So.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have
Okay,
a
all those in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay. Then under new business B, Nick, you want to give an update on
Yep, Brimfield Kent Jed update. So we had our quarterly meeting a couple weeks ago. Just a quick update from Jed funds. The Brimfield Kent and Jed in 2021 brought in $268,554.75. This year, we brought in, as of December 31st, 2022, $350,107.08, which is a change of $81,552.33, or a percent increase of 30.37%. So the Brimfield Kent Jed is continuing to grow. It's continuing to bring in additional funding, which helps with both police, fire, roads, and administration budgets. So we're seeing an increase
Glad to
there.
hear that.
During that meeting, we also was reappointment of positions. So the Brimfield Kent Jet board members did have some changes. We have myself still sitting on there with my first term ending 2023 as the Jet board treasurer. Bridget Susel is the municipality representative from the city of Kent. This is her first term, so she will be in that position as secretary until December 31st, 2026. Sabrina Christian Bennett is the local business owner that is involved with that as president of the Bennett Land Title Agency. Her term, she's in her second term, and that will end on December 31st, 2024, and the township will appoint that position next. So we need to be thinking about a local business owner of who we would want to appoint at the end of her term. Dave Hefflinger is a business employee from Field Local Schools Superintendent. His term ends on December 31st, 2025, and he currently serves as the vice chairman. The city will appoint the business employee at the end of the 2025 term. Lastly, Craig Mullally is a board appointee. His position is chairperson of the board and is currently in his first term that will expire December 31st, 2025. We also have staff members, which is Tom Wilkie, the Economic Development Director, who used to sit in that position on the board, but he termed out, so he's just a staff member with us now. We also have Rhonda Hall, the Finance Director, and Mike Ladd as a staff member. During that meeting, we also had discussions about the 43, State Route 43, and the development of State Route 43, specifically in the areas where we're lacking sewer and or water. There's discussions between the JED board and Portage County currently, and we'd like to extend that to Brimfield Township to discuss how we could develop water down that area. At the next meeting, we'd like to start the exploration of bringing in the Water and Sewer Division from Portage County, the engineer, the county commissioners, both boards from Brimfield and Kent, to have a study done to start to just look at what are the proposed costs and what we could do to work together as three entities to make that development happen on State Route 43.
All the way from Malloy, all the way down to Howe.
Yeah, so,
Oh,
but we could throw darts at the wall all day, but until we get the right people in the room to have those discussions. I brought this up because we had discussed it before.
We did.
And I think this is a great opportunity. So I spurred them on to say, can we lead this project? It looks like things are going to ease up for Kent at our next board meeting. They had some other projects they had to deal with first, but we're going to start those discussions and see if we can bring in the water resources engineers so we can start talking about what it's going to take to make that happen in collaboration with Kent, the JED, and Brimfield. So we'll be bringing that back.
And just because I'm just curious too, because I know there's land over by Kent State over there down Malloy. They don't have water or sewer down there yet, do they? Off of that access road off of?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we're going to explore that whole area. And the theory behind it is that if we can get that in there, then we'll incorporate all those properties into the JED, which then would cause that JED to make money in the future. There's lots of options. There's some ARPA funding out there still that we could look at from the county commissioners to potentially help fund the project. There is the option too of both Brimfield and Kent giving up a portion or all of their JED funds to go towards that project to fund it initially, where you reap the benefits though of it on the back end, because if there's more businesses, you're gonna double, triple, quadruple your money in the long run. So we're gonna look at all those financial options and bring that back as a proposal to the board.
That's good.
When they come
Good
back, you'll have a
information.
map, right, of what areas you wanted to, because does Kent still owns that, or Kent State still owns the land behind the outpost, right?
I don't know. Do they still own that land back there?
How many acres is that?
So, but some of the questions we have, and this is why we need to bring everybody to the table, is, yeah, we could dream about water and sewer, but can the sewer lines handle it? Can the water lines handle it? It's going to include additional pump station. Those are all additional costs that we need to incorporate into the entire project and then see what each sides can commit to that project to make that happen.
Right.
So, but just wanted to give you an update that was a discussion that happened at that meeting, just so we're all on the same page as we move forward, and I'll bring back updates following the next meeting.
Okay, good report.
Thanks.
Good report. Let's continue on now to zoning and economic development. Mike?
Thank you, Sue. The board should have received the annual report from Economic Development and Zoning. So if you have any questions, let me know. We're also going to distribute that out to the zoning commission members as well as the BZA, because they were a big part of this last year. Trustee public hearing for 2 zoning resolution text amendments will be Monday, February 13th at 6 o'clock. There's 2 amendments on there. One is for swimming pools and the fencing requirements for that, as well as sheds under 200 square foot in locations. So we'll be hearing that. Nobody has attended any of the public hearings yet. I would anticipate this would be a pretty simple one, but.
Do you need an official motion on that? Because we didn't move to put that.
I can't.
It wouldn't hurt. I guess it's not required. That's why we were waiting, because we were going to do it at the last meeting, and I reached out to Mark. I'm like, can we do this? And he says, yeah, you can do it. So
But just past
as long as you
practice
guys-
has been that way, so do you think we should just put it on the books then?
yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
So we need a motion
I
to
didn't know
set.
what you guys were talking about. Sorry.
Yeah,
We put out the notice that there was going to be a meeting February 13th, but there's been no board action to make that happen. So we need a motion on the floor for that public hearing.
You want to make that motion for
To
that?
add the public hearing after?
Yeah, to add the public hearing. Because even though we advertised it, it's past practice that the board
Sure.
puts those motions on the floor. to officially enact that. So I'll make that motion to hold a public hearing February 13th at 6 PM here at the community center to discuss text amendments, section 510.03A9C and section 510.10A3.
Second.
Thanks.
What was the first? I don't have his report.
Oh,
What was
that's
the
okay.
first-
Sorry, 510.03A9C and then 510.10A3.
Okay, so we have a motion, and I seconded that. All in favor?
All those in favor, Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Jarrett Fleet Systems, they're working on an addition, and it's going to create 6 new jobs for them. They submitted their lot consolidation this week, and of course, their addition was approved at the Board of Zoning of Appeals. It is a non-conforming use for that GC district. However, it's a great business. They do nice work down there. It's a clean site. And then we're going to be also looking, in addition to this, to looking at the zoning code in that district to make them, so it's not a non-conforming use, that when they can come for additions or add employees or something like that, that's a permitted use instead of going to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Basement Sports Bar and Grill is open, and the ribbon cutting was Tuesday, January 17th. Valvoline at Maple Crest is open, and they open February the 1st. We have several things on the BZA agenda next week. I anticipate a long meeting. There's a lot of stuff coming in, and hopefully things get approved. But economic development looks good.
Also, Dickey's Barbecue opens its last meeting.
And Dickey's, that's right. Dickey's, our barbecue
They
did
didn't have
open.
a ribbon cutting or anything, but I stopped down there.
That's correct.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
pretty
it
good.
on my list. I didn't have it highlighted. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, no, there's just another business
Yeah.
that opened over there.
Yep, that's correct.
I got a call
And
yesterday.
I heard it's wonderful too.
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty good. Yeah, it's really good. They got lots of options in there. So
Yep.
it's a step up of an Old Carolina. So I
Yes.
think Old Carolina type service, but meat was much better in my opinion.
Yeah.
I also got a call the other day. I haven't called the reporter back from Record Courier. She just wanted an update on all these. Do we have a tentative date or we just?
I could get you a tentative date. They told me the whole time, end of February. And the reason being is, well, one of the items was the electrical issues and they couldn't get their stuff for electrical. The other thing was their flooring system, and their flooring that they have is a specific flooring for all these throughout the country. And the people that supplied the flooring went out of business. So they were looking at different options, but that was the reason for the delay.
So electrical parts and flooring parts supply issues.
I'll talk to Lemon. I'll talk to Rich Costin again today and get a date of when they're opening, but they told me end of February.
Okay. Appreciate that.
And as you can see, the road's open down there now. The light's actuated.
I used it this morning on my way
Yeah.
to Starbucks.
Yeah, and it runs, smoothly. You're going to see a lot of development in the IC district back there, just in front of Just Cricket. Hopefully everything gets approved. And then we've got a lot of other things to work. This Thursday, zoning commission meeting, if anybody wants to attend, we're going to be talking about the town center. Mike Woolen's going to be there. We're going to talk about the sidewalks and some street lighting, things of that nature. That's the planning board for us as a zoning commission from here to come to you guys. But we've got a lot of good ideas.
Now that they opened up that way through there, right next to the car wash, if you're headed out to Talmadge, not on Talmadge Road, but in the
right turn only.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right before you get to that, there's a little stop sign that allows Menards traffic to come out.
Yes.
It's not noticeable. And I see people just blowing through that. And now that's going to become more of a common traffic area. I don't know if there's a way we can highlight that better or put something around it. It's an odd place for a stop sign. And I see a lot of people just shooting right through that. And if you got the Menards people with no stop sign coming out, I think it's right for an accident right there. It's just an odd intersection now that backside's open.
We can ask the engineer's office to request a sign there.
Okay. And even maybe with striping on the ground or something. I don't know. Just something to bring attention
Mhm.
to it. I can just see that's going to be a place that we're going to have accidents at.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll ask.
Okay.
Good. Did that end your report?
It is.
Okay, let's go on to the road department. Dave?
All righty. Just want to let the board know, we've been out fixing some potholes and some berm areas that were settled. We removed 5 trees from Howe Road from the last time when we discussed it. We took them all down. There were the dead trees along there that were causing a road hazard. We had to remove a tree from North Reservoir Road. It was falling down across the roadway, so we just went ahead and took it out. Plus, we removed a tree on Malloy Road that was starting to lean real bad across toward the roadway. We ordered in 500 ton of salt, and we have the bend clear full for right now, hoping for some snow. So, just to let the board know, FYI, Cranberry Creek Phase 1 and 2 will soon be dedicated to the township. As of right now, I think it's on the agenda for the commissioners meeting tomorrow. So they'll probably be passing that along to us here very soon. As Mike stated, the engineer's office wanted me to let everybody know that the light's now working at 18 Apartment Drive. They wanted everybody to get that out there. That at the Just Cricket condos. We don't have nothing to do with that yet. We still have we're a year out before we take over that roadway. So, plus I want to let the board know we moved the free library from the town hall to the library. It's in the parking lot. That way, the free books and stuff, people can come in and get them a lot easier than where it was. And just one more thing, we locked up the Roby Road Park, well, McGuire Park, or however you want to call it. We locked the gate. We had Mr. McGuire, Cassie was lucky to go by there one day. He was stuck in a ditch, and my guys had to go pull him out. Of course, then we got stuck, had to pull ourselves out. We locked it up just to, I hate to say it this way, just to keep him from roaming around, because if somebody wouldn't have showed up that day, he was stuck, and he didn't even have a phone with him.
And we're working on an entrance, and I don't mean to interrupt, but since you brought up that Roby Road, if we can barricade that off and have an emergency access only at some point in time. I've got Mike Woolen looking at an access off of Cascades. We're going to run the TIF money over there, but there's also one more addition that we're going to throw into the pot. And there's a plot in front of Lowe's that's approximately 2.5 acres that's buildable for a restaurant or things of that nature. That was considered open space and it had to stay. But now that we have the park in the back, if we could obtain and get the access in off of Cascades, we can make that a buildable lot, use the open space as the park, create that as another buildable lot there.
I know.
So that would stop everything off of Roby Road, just emergency access only, and then we put
because the person that needs access other than us right now is the pipeline company.
Right.
So they have a well they have to check right there just past the gate. Right. So we'd have to just take that in consideration. We shut that part down, that they have to be able to get to their stuff.
So,
but right now I told Cass that we just locked it up. I couldn't take a chance of, you said the guy driving off into the ditch again and nobody's seen him for days. So, because my guys talked to him and he didn't have a cell phone to use to call anybody.
You have that pond over there too.
Right. So,
I don't want anything to happen to him.
No. So it was locked. Somebody unlocked it again. Not our lock, but we have to, like I said, we have to lock it to the pipeline company's lock, make sure they still have their access. So we don't know, there's 2 other locks on there other than ours. We don't know whose is who. So I don't know if Mr. McGuire still has a key and he just unlocked his thing and went in again. I don't know, but we're just letting you know, we put no trespassing signs on the gate. We're just trying to deter just going back through there. So other than that, that's my report.
Dave and John, you just passed this letter down. Before we sign off on these roads, is there anything we want to challenge on the Cranberry Creek subdivision? Or Dave, are you happy with them?
No.
I don't want to sign this and say, I know it's an uphill battle to fight that, but I hate to just pencil whip something and send it to them and just say, we'll take it if we have problems with it.
We went through the roadway. Actually, right now, the only thing that's been holding it up has been paperwork. There was certain paperwork that the developer didn't turn in, so he finally got all that in. My concerns was with the road with the cracks in the road. And they actually went through and crack sealed everything back. Larry Jenkins went through the allotment again just to make sure the curbs, sidewalks, all that stuff were up to par. All that stuff is passed now too. So truthfully, are we going to have a road that's a little bit old? Yes, because of how long it's taken to build up that subdivision. But the road part is actually not in that bad a shape. It's just,
So-
it's aged, but they've taken care of everything we've asked for.
So in your opinion, then you're good with accepting of that road?
Yeah.
Outside of the additional work, the condition of the road, you're
Well,
good with?
no, yeah, we're fine with it. I mean,
Okay.
we've accepted some that are, you hate to say it, actually were some worse shape, so.
Do we need a motion, John, on this, or you just want a
No,
signature on it?
just want to sign on it.
All right, here you go, Sue.
Thanks.
Okay, there you go. Okay, let's go forward with the Parks and Recreation report. Cassie?
Well, my first item, Dave already touched on, but I'll just tell a little bit more of the story. I just happened to be at the park, obviously the park, the property is not open to the public yet. I just happened to be there, actually the town of Parks and Rec to just kind of show them the property. And yes, Mr. McGuire's truck was stuck on the property. I believe Mr. McGuire has some memory issues and he did not seem to know where he was. And we did not know how long he was there, so it's very concerning to see his truck there. Thank you, Dave, and the guys for getting him unstuck, but that's not a situation that we want to run into again. So, yes, Dave put a lock on there, on the gate, put no trespassing signs up. And then, I was down there again with Joe, we were looking at putting security cameras up, after it had snowed, which also made me realize that there are lots of footprints coming over from the condos. Because the current gate on the drive does not go, the condos are past the gate. So the people that live there probably have been walking there for a long time. If you haven't been to the property, there is an old stone house on the property as well, right, pretty close to the beginning of the park there, which has the potential for people to, break windows and try to get in. We did put locks on it, but, kids or whoever might try to get into it, so. I'm gonna be ordering some more no trespassing signs and possibly looking at putting an additional temporary or somewhat more permanent gate up there, just to deter foot traffic and to let people know that it is township property and, if they were to, it is closed to the public and if they were to enter, it'd be, they're not supposed to be there, so.
Did Joe figure out which camera he was going to use?
Yeah, we discussed it, I'll need to touch base with him again because the other issue is the electric in that building, is not, it hums when you turn the lights on and there's some exposed wiring and stuff, so I don't know how comfortable we'd be putting a lot of, electronics in there, for fire hazard, so, yeah, I'll touch base with him. on
Okay.
that again, but, yeah, we have some options there. So the next issue was a fun one. We're looking at possibly switching this building to natural gas. We're currently running on propane. Last Wednesday, the first, Dave and I were here for a meeting in the evening, and we noticed it was very cold.
No, that's the community building here.
Yes,
Okay.
it's building, sorry. We were here for a meeting, we noticed it's very cold, we noticed our tank was out of propane. We were set up to autofill, I've been here almost 4 years, it's never been an issue. We looked back the following day, I called AmeriGas, we're all paid up on our bills, we're still set to autofill, but they had missed our delivery, they had not delivered propane since December 9th. All that to say, we called them, we had some strong words with them, and they did not deliver propane until, the 6th.
It was Monday.
Yeah, Monday the 6th, that was as soon as they could get out here, which I thought was ridiculous.
And we were promised multiple times the week before that they were going to be right out in 24 hours. I was actually promised on that Tuesday that someone was going to call me between 8 and 4 as they were delivering. And nobody showed, and nobody showed the next day. And
So then you had to cancel all the reservations that you had here. How did that work for you?
We were able to find, new locations for the renters, Darlene, I'll also going to thank her for that also, but we were able to find some places to have their parties, but we did have to cancel our Grandma State program because it was 40 degrees in here. So I want to thank John and Dave and Joe and everybody else who helped with that because it was a nightmare. And, so now I am working with Dominion, I'm putting in the application with Dave's help, to see if we can get natural gas down here. I know I explored before I started here, so we're gonna see, I think the issue was just getting service down here, and from what I understand, we needed, from what I had heard, we needed, multiple people to sign on to get gas down here. I don't know if that is the case, but I'll find out. So, and also it was something that, I think Brian actually pointed this out when we did get our generator. My first thought was, oh, we have a generator, but the generator also runs on propane. So, that would be something we also convert to gas.
Well, and this is a warming center too in the
Yes.
winter, so last thing we would have is no heat in here.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's our heating building also, so.
And that generator was designed so that we could swap it out from
Yes.
propane to natural, correct?
And actually, the furnace down there, we have all the parts, to change over to natural gas sitting down there, so, it's just a matter of getting service and going through that process, so.
Cassie Wendy, you don't know when she was here, she looked into that, it has to come down Brimfield Drive.
Okay.
It has to have multiple residents.
Well, we were thinking, and I don't know, Dave has it at his shop too, so I'm not sure if that's a way we can come down.
I should remember that, hey, it was a big.
Yeah, that's at
It
Brimfield.
didn't happen, but
Right.
it was such a thing, it didn't happen, that's why we looked at it.
Yeah, I'm wondering,
Can you get enough-
Cassie to bring it, why, Dominion should be able to run it off from my shop area.
Can they get enough flow off of your shop? You got a big enough line coming in?
I would probably have to, if we ran just a straight line from my shop to here, we would have to probably upgrade my line again, which just got upgraded. Well, they should be able to extend the main from there, because it does stop. I mean, it might be a distance, it's so much a foot to run a main, an extension and get gas here. But the thing is, then you quote unquote, say all of a sudden you do run the main to this point. Now, they may have changed rules since I've been doing, I did gas, but, then people tap onto that, you end up getting so much funding back because you ran the main. So say if they did run the main from our shop area and route it this way, it may even come off with the tee off and go to Brimfield Drive this way. They catch people who want to get on it. So again, you'd be in that proposal of getting cutbacks per se.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a number of years. I called Dominion and they said that her was from 2017, was the last time it was explored, so it's worth looking into again.
And like I say, the runaround we had with the propane was a big deal. I mean, we ended up buying a 100-pound tank and hooking the tank up to the building just to keep the pipes from freezing. So, I mean, it's just one of them, if we get rid of the hiccup where natural gas would be a lot easier.
Is there any way that American Gas would reimburse us for the propane that we had to buy?
I'm not allowed to talk to him anymore. They hung up on me. So
Oh, I thought that was a good idea.
my third call, I got a little feisty with him.
Oh, all right.
Suggestion from the audience back here, just switch to electric. Not worrying about gas all the time.
I don't think the generator runs off that, I don't believe.
I see the generator, I get that, but
I know the furnace is pretty new.
just.
I mean, we could.
Right.
Cost effective.
Okay.
Well, we would just have to have a propane tank, like 100 gallon, what we buy to sit next to the generator if it needed to come on, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't know how quick that would eat up that 100-gallon tank if it's on for a while.
We already own that tank. Just build that once a year.
Well, I don't know if we own that. It's a AmeriGas tank. I think they come back and take it.
I might get a dumb suggestion.
No. We just look at all that at the same time?
I mean, if all else, like Craig said, though, you could buy a tank and just have it sit down there with just aligned to the generator.
Because the generator only kicks on for an hour once a week.
And we're not gonna have any issues with propane sitting in there that long. It's sit there
No.
for years. It's not even an issue. Okay.
Okay, well,
Bill's the electrical guy.
we won't be making any, we're just discussing here, so we won't be making any decisions today, so let's move on.
Triple, quadruple in your electric bill to heat this place around.
Yeah, okay, let's move on.
See, he's the expert.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, I'm happy to investigate all these avenues. Not that it's my decision, but I would suggest maybe switching from AmeriGas. I think that was, if this was a residence, if it were my residence and I couldn't get heat on one of the coldest days of the year, I think I'd be pretty upset, so.
Well, and there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the Ravenna location with AmeriGas is supposedly gonna close. So I don't know if that does anything with drivers that are out there, but you can't get a hold of anybody. You're not even allowed. Cassie actually went over to Ravenna. They wouldn't even let her in.
Yes, I did
So-
not have their door, they would not let me in, so they were either hiding from me or not there, so.
And if you check their Facebook pages and all that, they're just getting abused
They're abusing.
right now.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, yes. So next item, the reason we were here for that meeting last week in the evening was to discuss the Brimfest parade. Mary Ridenauer of the Lions Club, has graciously agreed to organize the Brimfest parade. I want to bring that before the board. She has a lot of experience with, veterans and organizing the
does.
parade. She's done it in the past. We met with her. She knows things like she has her stuff.
She has a wonderful networking system all in place.
Yes.
I've worked with her before and I think she's very, very well organized to handle that.
Yes, she not only organizes judges' parades, she's in the honor guard, works with the FW. So she has a lot of ties with the veterans, and she would like the parade to be a veterans parade also, like it was in the past.
Is that going to be the Lions Club heading that up, or are we having an individual citizen head that up?
So I believe it's just Mary, it's Mary, Billy Visler, and John. What's John's last name? I apologize. But they are part of the Lions Club, but I do not believe it's the Lions Club itself sponsoring.
Right.
So, and who will they be reporting to on the updates of this and logistics? Is that going to run through you and then you bring it back to the board?
Yes, and we had agreed, like, one of the biggest agreements was that we would not be handling the whole organization of the parade, but we have agreed to take the forms for them so they can submit forms to the township and we can bring those to Mary. And of course, handle any like logistical things that they might need from our staff, so.
I mean, I'm glad to see the Brimfest parade come back. I just want to make sure we have checks and balances in there so that it goes smoothly.
Okay.
So I would like to request from the board, to approve the return of the Brimfest parade, on Saturday, September 23rd.
Do we need a motion for that?
We should go out there because we canceled it in the past.
John or Nick? you wanna
I'll make that motion to bring the Brimfest parade back to be on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023, to be run by a subcommittee of residents and reporting directly to the Parks Director.
Second. All in favor?
Those in favor, Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great, thank you. Very excited to see that come back. In addition to that, I did meet with Dave and I spoke with Roy about the parade route. I believe we concurred that we would like to do the parade route that we did previously, where we start on 43 near Falcon Drive and go down to 18 and then turn on to Sterling Green and then over to Kelso and towards the cemetery. Is that correct?
We'd be coming out of Brimfield Crossing.
Okay, we need to run that by whoever owns that property by McDonald's so we can make sure we can stage there again, because it's going to take up a lot of their property for a couple hours. I just wouldn't want to stage everybody on his property without.
Yeah. Go get around me.
Yeah, we're very early in the planning stage. That's just our proposed route.
Yeah, but I would do that early to say, hey, can we stage here? Because I think we did, there was dual staging. There was staging there and there was staging in the
Yeah.
vacant lots by Kelso House.
Yeah, we're some were on Falcon Drive and some were on Brimfield Crossing.
Right.
So
When we did some over at McDonald's too, remember we had a bunch of staging over
Yeah.
there?
yeah, that's a Brimfield Crossing.
Okay,
That,
yeah.
that runs all the way back through there. That's what the skip over.
Yeah, skip
Yeah.
over.
So I would just reach out to them, get something in writing from them, be it an email.
And I reached out to them before the last couple of years for Brimfest, and they've been very kind and responsive.
Okay, well, thank you for your update for the Brimfest.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're going to bring the parade back.
And I did also speak with Roy about getting the necessary permits from ODOT.
Yeah, we'll need permits from the county and from ODOT, which we've done in the past, to have temporary closures on both those roads. So we'll process those on our end.
Great, thank you. And then, last item, the electric and the lights, have been installed at both the Carter and the Honeychuck pavilions, down at the park here. That was approved back in September. So we now have, the Honeychuck pavilion has 6 lights and 6 outlets. The Carter has 4 lights and 4 outlets. This is a much needed improvement for us. We can do night program, we can have our hot chocolate and hot apple cider, and we can have our bands actually plug into the pavilion instead of running electric from the line shelter. So, very, very excited for that. And it'll be very nice for our renters as well. A nice addition. And then, just real quick, our past programs, we had a hot chocolate bar and board game night on the 31st. That went pretty well. And then unfortunately, our Groundhog Day program on the 2nd had to be canceled due to no heat in the building. And then the upcoming program this Sunday, we have a cookies and Valentine's Day card program. We'll be making Valentine's Day cards that the kids can either take home to their families or give to us to give to the residents of the nursing homes in the area.
And does that conclude your report?
That's my report, thank you.
Okay, thank
Before we go
you.
into cemetery, Cassie, real quick question. Monday night rentals in this building, do we get a lot of Monday night rentals or is it usually vacant?
We usually have the Boy Scouts here.
Okay.
Not every Monday, but some Mondays.
Okay, all right. Because I used to do evening office hours where people would just come in and talk at our town hall, but we don't have a town hall right now, so I was looking at bringing that back for myself. But I didn't want to mess with rentals, so.
Yeah, let me look, I'll see which Monday it is.
Okay.
And it's kind of intermittent too, and it's usually only in the winter, so yeah, I can get you scheduled.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then just the second thing, just FYI, this was brought up and it kind of caught me off guard at the last meeting, but I had a chance to look at it. Soccer fields. Just had some questions on that. Moving into 2023, we're coming up into soccer season before you know it. What is the plan moving forward with those fields? Are they going to do rentals on those again? How are you going to handle rentals for soccer fields for 2023?
So I would like the rentals to go through me.
Okay.
Just how we normally do rentals.
Are we going to change the design of that field? Because I know that's what was sent over to, in the meeting, we talked about changing the whole look of that, right?
Yeah.
So that changes potential for field sizes. Do we know what field sizes we're going to put on there? And then who's going to be responsible for maintaining those field striping, lining, all of that? If we change this all around, how are we going to handle that going into 2023?
I guess it would just depend on how quickly we move on the driveway and the pavilion.
Well, the parking lot, just so you know, is down in that bottom section. There's a smaller field that you guys have down there. That's the only place the parking lot could go.
Okay.
So that area that field is probably going to be eliminated, the small portion down there, and that's where the parking lot, but the other two up on the top will be there. I don't know who lines the fields right now.
Right now, it's just coaches volunteer to do it.
See, because that's probably, we would have to do it the same way, because like with the baseball fields, we don't lime any of the baseball fields. That's all up to even at the athletic association, they don't do that. It's the coach's responsibility to lime and break out and do all that kind of stuff. So I would assume that we would handle that the same way.
Because if you're gonna rent fields, I'm just trying to figure out how do we designate A field and B field, where it gets lined, where it doesn't, who maintains that, and then also to take into consideration, because that could rotate. You know what I mean? Are you just renting the entire thing, and then they can put whatever fields they want there? How do you handle that? The other thing to take in consideration with the rotation of the pavilion, there's conduit that's already ran to that potential pavilion site that was originally approved by the board. So now you have to rerun all the electrical conduit to be able to connect into the electrical pieces there. There's also a water line that was tapped by that pavilion potential A. If you're moving it, now you have this water pipe just kind of sticking out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
Are you going to reallocate that as part of this process also? And then what's going to happen with the shipping container? I know Mike had some concerns with safety for kids. It has a door in there. You can put a crash bar on that to let people in and out. If you're not going to have storage there, right? And it was storage for road department equipment to maintain the fields, but also the associations used it for all their striping equipment. These are all things I think we need to take into consideration that wasn't taken into consideration with that reaction to move everything around.
Well, I don't know about the storage container and what the future of that is, but Charles was the one that that's the only place we could put the parking lot, was down there.
Right, and that was the original design, was to put some parking down there and then have on-street parking for the rest of it.
Right.
In the layout of these fields. The pavilion was placed there too, so it was easy viewing for residents of both fields with families with kids, gets them out of the sun during the events and really centralized it. And that also, the pavilion movement may have some effect on where we launch fireworks from too. I don't know if we took that into consideration, where we're gonna launch fireworks from for Brimfest.
I don't know what we're gonna do with fireworks back there anyways. Mike, where's that housing development's gonna be put back there as well?
Yeah, so we're just finalizing the TIF back there, and then they're gonna get started. So, 103 units back there, it's going on to 20 acres.
So I don't know if that does anything to it or not. I don't know if we even know at this point where we would what it would do with fireworks. I mean, I don't know how far we're away from that.
Lose track of
I don't
the
know.
exact game.
Yeah, I was just,
If you add stuff in there, you're probably gonna lose that spot, but you can't go to Super Group, you got a gas station. So you can't go there, so.
Is the house is going in isn't the problem. It's moving stuff around where we're launching from.
Right, you have enough radius, you're not gonna touch the housing development, because we already have houses.
Right. So that's the problem. So you're not going to touch that housing development. You're going to have the issue of putting our unit there, which pushes that radius forward, which then puts us in that danger zone.
just the pavilion is what you're thinking of by having that over there?
Yeah, moving that pavilion because you're not even going to the corner.
Everything you do gets a little tighter, you have to have a 300 to 400 foot. Exit road flies radius, we need that right now.
Just open field, or you can't have a pavilion, you can't?
So it depends on the shell size. Our shell size meets this criteria. You can drop the shell size down and have a smaller firework display.
But I think the issue, we were
It's just
okay.
something you gotta look at.
When we talked about it, we were okay. It's not the pavilion didn't impact that, but now the location of the pavilion causes you to take your launch zone and move it to the west, right? So now that circle encroaches onto that bigger occupied building.
Just to jump in there, it's not the pavilion because it's unoccupied.
Right. It's that building.
It pushes me toward an occupied building.
Yeah. So that's the thing you got to think about is when you put that
That's stable.
larger
That's not-
driveway in and then you put in a pavilion, you're encroaching, 100+ feet to the west. Therefore, you're going to create
The only spot I
potentials.
talked to the fireworks people is to move it down here to the baseball field, but they said you won't see it.
Yeah.
Well, we've just had a discussion that's not on the agenda. So I would like to go back here to Parks and Recs and have Nick make a motion that we add this discussion that we've just had.
I mean, we can amend it. There was no action item on it. It was just
Well, there's no
information.
action on it, but we've talked about it. So it really needs to be, so we can go back in 3 or 4 months from now, when this comes up again, we can kind of help remember or recall that we've had this discussion here on it.
That's fine. I can make a motion to amend the agenda to add under Parks and Rec to E as in Edward soccer field discussion.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor, Sue,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
thank you.
And really, it's just informational, but these are things that we need to think about. It isn't as simple as just moving that. There was a lot of planning that went into the setup of that field, which all of us were part of that discussion. It was done on the board floor. It was taken to the zoning department. That all happened here, 2 years ago. Just making that statement and that clear. Those are things that we need to think about. And
Yeah, they are.
if we're going to
It's
make
good
major
things-
changes like this, we
it's
used
good
to get an
things to talk
update
about.
from people or people would call around, but this was just brought to the board floor, just kind of sidewall. I was blindsided by that. So
Okay.
send me a chance to look at that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make that clear on the floor.
I think our reasoning for moving, when we sat down with Charles discussing moving the pavilion, is we don't want it too close to that medical building there. We already have a lot of people parking there to use the soccer field, maybe for overstaying their welcome, so we're concerned that people will park there and then move to that building, so that's why we discussed moving it.
Okay,
Yeah, I would just take into consideration the additional cost of the project, because now you got water line, you got conduit, you got to rerun. You got to figure out what you're going to do with that shipping container then, because it's not near that storage area, those water connections, what you're going to do with that. If there's a safety concern there, I would make the recommendation then that you put a crash bar in that storage container for the time being. It's got a door on it. You can just add a crash bar that's a single action exit from that building.
I think the other issue was, potential liability for housing their items, they didn't know what the liability for keeping all their equipment in there, if it were to get more than township property, someone could do it. I'd like to look more into that.
Yeah, and I think you make that part as a field rental too, that, it's a no hold, no fault piece of the agreement.
And possibly, I don't know, about opening that up to other groups that would use the field as well. I
think that was the original idea, was just to put shelving in there so that road department can store all their equipment in the wintertime if they need to, have the watering devices out there in the summer, and then there was just shelving, so any sporting event that's playing out there. But then you got to figure out the field rentals. How are you going to mark those fields off if you're going to do dual rentals of that field? And then if you start marking them off, yeah, I know the baseball, they're responsible to go out and line it, but you're just going to run a plot of land. Like, I don't know how you do that without us lining it. And I'm going to be honest, I am not in favor of asking Dave to have to line fields. His crew is already overworked by the addition of this.
Oh, no, I I mean, hell, I spent many a summers in Chickasaw too, liming those baseball fields and raking them out, and doing all that stuff.
But it's a little different. You already have a base, but you have a different type of playing surface. You know what I mean? There's
That's
some
true,
differences
but
there.
there's, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put that on them.
Lining football fields is a pain. I mean, I've lined a lot of them too. So.
Yeah. So there's just some things I think you need to take into consideration as you move forward with this project. But you're coming up on a quick deadline because I know sporting's going to start here for the spring. It's February, but it happens fast.
Do they have
Why?
spring soccer?
What's that?
Just a quick question. Do they have spring soccer?
They play spring and summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was wondering.
Spring is a little lower numbers. Fall soccer is bigger numbers because the kids kind of float between baseball and.
Yeah, because I know
Soccer.
baseball is already starting to slowly fire up. So.
Yeah, no, they registration deadlines for soccer, I think, is the 20th of something of this month. So they're already registering teams.
I appreciate the conversation we've had about this. It's really opened up some things for us to look at and consider. So I want to close that conversation now and head on to the cemetery. At this point, there's no old business and there's no new business. And at that point, then we can go on with the fiscal office. John?
Well, we were gonna have this at the last meeting, but we didn't have one. I need to get in approval for the advances for 2023 first half taxes. So I need a motion to request those.
Okay. Go ahead. You want to make the
I'll make that motion to request the 2023 advances for the first half.
Second.
All those in favor, Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Is that the only item you have?
Yep.
Okay, at this time, we have no request for an executive session. Is there any comments to come for the good of the order? Yes, sir.
I had a couple things. One deals with the Ken Jack.
Yes.
Several years ago, when I talked to Dick Messner, when he was here.
Well, that's
explaining-
been, what, 5 years ago?
Explaining the jets to me and how they operated. And the percentages of anything that comes in, Kent, their portion of it was, they supply water and sewer lines down 43 for the businesses because at the start of the jets, they got more money than what Brimfield did. And because they got more money, they supplied those water and sewer lines. My question is if all that's changed, then all the money that Kent has got on their jets, they just put in their pocket for doing nothing. Number two, if that has changed, does the percentage of the jet, if we end up putting in water and sewer or our portion of it, do we change the percentage of makeup of the jet of what Kent gets versus what we get? Because now we're taking money from the township. Even though I understand that it benefits the township to do that, but it was my understanding that that was same way with Talmadge. They supply water and sewer down through, and Brimfield's portion of the jet is we supply safety forces, that type of stuff.
Well, the percentage hasn't changed and it's always been a 55-45 split. But then 5% of Brimfield's money and 5% of Kent's gets put into the M&I, which Brimfield controls. So they're left at 50, we get our 40 plus the M&I. So it's pretty much been it's a 50-50 split. And that's the way it is for Brimfield and Talmadge and Kent's Jeds. So they haven't made any more monies. I don't believe from a police and fire perspective, we've had any help from in the Jeds from any of Talmadge or Kent, unless it's you guys handle all that, correct? And then internally, we split the monies that come in. It's a 30-30-30-10 split. 30% fire, 30% PD, 30% road, 10% to the general fund. That's how we've split it ever since we've had it. So the numbers are equal. So I don't know if there's they don't have any.
So I guess my point is that we do a 50-50% split with Kent, but Talmadge the same. And Kent gets 50% for doing absolutely nothing. And we get 50% for doing everything.
Right.
So-
And it was my understanding that Kent's portion of that, as that developed and businesses came in, they would supply water and sewer. Now, if Mr. Messner told me something different than what it actually is, why would we be doing that? I understand why, but it seems to me that Kent should be paying that. And if it's written differently in the JED, I'd like to see it.
So if you look at page 3 of this, and I'm not going to go through the whole document, but John would have that. That would be your public information officer. You could ask him for a copy of this. The purpose, section 3 of the JED agreement says, with Brimfield, Kent at least, the township and the city intend that the creation and operation of the district shall, and in its purpose of the district, to facilitate economic development, to create or preserve jobs and employment opportunities, and to improve the economic welfare of the people in the state, the county, the township, the city, and the district. That's the purpose of it. So it's about economic development. It's about those pieces. Is how that's written in here. I'd have to dig further in there to talk about obligations of each side, but that's a public document that you could pull to.
The biggest hurdle that we have with water, and Nick, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but Portage County has to sign off on Kent supplying water. So for example, we got water to the nursing home. Portage County had to sign off on that, saying they have no interest in extending the water and allowing Kent to come into Brimfield to take their water. So the ball kind of lies within the county. And at the last JED meeting, Sabrina was there and we discussed this a little bit. For example, and it's a little upsetting to me because the county has they've never applied for grants to supply water up and down 43. They redid State Route 43 without putting a water line, which is, from an engineering standpoint and being a director of engineering, I don't understand that concept. The thing is they applied for Manaway, and there's a $12 million project to take on the Manaway water tower that brings no economic development. It's just this to maintain. This would bring a ton of money in for the county as well as us and the city. And there's been no grants that have been applied for on our behalf. So.
But I think that's what we're looking at exploring at this next JED board meeting. And to answer the question on utility, section 7A says utility service. The contracting parties have not entered into separate contracts with each other for utility service. The contracting parties shall cooperate with each other, the county, the district, and with utility service users in the district in obtaining access to sanitary service and water service. That's how the contract is written.
Did I hear what you're saying in regards to that as well? I mean, we're using our 50% to pay police, fire, and all that. Same thing with towns. They get a big chunk of money and they're not performing any services in our.
Yeah, I mean, the JED was only created so that Kent County wouldn't annex Brimfield.
Yeah.
It's basically.
Yes.
Well, but we're also now getting payroll tax that you wouldn't get in the past, right? The township would not collect any of this money that we're getting, which helps offset some of our operations.
Well, that was to stop the annex so we could share. That was the way to do that.
And the other part that I had was, and it has nothing to do with Craig, but it has to do with the fire department and the construction of it. Seems like it's just dragging out. And Rycon, I know, is asking for extensions and increases in labor and increases in materials. And I've not heard the board talk anything about what those cost overruns are on our taxpayer bond that we're paying for. You guys talk about USDA has to approve this. Well, the residents of Brimfield are paying for that over 20 years, my understanding. And what is that bottom end? It was originally set at what, 8 or 9 million?
Yeah, 8 point.
How far over that
Do you
are we
want to
now?
say anything?
114
Well,
right now.
the generic answer is nothing, because I am not signing off on it. It's coming that we
Yeah.
have to approve.
And we've had some discussions on the floor about it because they originally came to us with issue 1, 2, 3, and 4. It wasn't our job. It isn't our expertise. It's the USDA's expertise to cut that down. So we sent back issue 1, 2, 3, and 4 and said, listen, these cost overages are ridiculous. This isn't right. Work it out. And then they work it back and they brought it back to us. We talked about that on the floor again 2 months ago, a month ago, where we talked about what that acceptance of some of those change orders were going to be. So it was very big, and then they worked it down, but it has been brought to.
So Phil, to answer your question, they wanted 750,000 extra. We're close to 114 right now. and then we'll have to eventually approve that.
Well,
But
and
there is a cost overage, but
Bill, just so
It's
you
not
know, we
a-
did have M&I money that we set out there just in case for any of that. So from a taxpayer's perspective, we're way underneath that. It was 690 some thousand that we had sitting out there for overruns. So we're 114,000 into the 690 some. So nothing's, it's not changing our loan with USDA at this point.
What were the contract amounts for living and damages per day?
Well, that's where we're at right now.
so overage.
Not me.
Liquidating damages for contract extension for time of completion.
So there's a,
How much per
to
day?
generic, $1,000.
Okay, what I've run into, I have a meeting at 10 o'clock that I have to be at.
Okay.
Positively. And I think we've had good conversation today and I really appreciate it. I think we really accomplished a lot as a board. And a lot of information has been shared and we've been updated and I appreciate that. But I'm gonna ask that, I move that we adjourn so I can get in my car and go where I have to be.
Second that.
All those in favor? Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. We're adjourned at 9:40. And
Okay.
see you
Thank
guys
you.
in 2 weeks.
Bill, is that what you were asking me?